Hello, beautiful souls. So I've been pretty quiet on YouTube anyway because I've been restricted, but now I'm not for the moment. So, um, and there's been this interesting thing happening. So I decided I would share a little bit about it, even though makes me feel a tad bit uncomfortable. But at least in my knowing, that means Trixie. That means that I need to talk about it. I, you know, it's interesting with all of this whole video series, interview series that I've been doing. A lot of people have trouble putting themselves out there. They getting out there past the comfortability. And I just want to say how amazing it is to watch people go from never being on video to completely being natural and to overcoming that fear, looking fear in the face and being like, I'm doing it anyway. So anyway, there's something about that keeps coming up for me. And I honor that. If you, no matter how you are, that's coming up for you in your life and you are doing that, right on, right on. That's how we grow, right? We don't grow in the comfortable moments of our lives. It is through those really uncomfortable times. And here we go. All right. So as most of you know, let's see, how am I going to do this? I think I'm going to talk about, so I'm unjabbed, and I heard that my local school district is approving exemptions right now. And I haven't worked in a school district since the beginning of all of this. So I also am a volunteer. My daughter goes to a co-op elementary school. And so I've always been able to volunteer. Well, I have not been able to volunteer since this whole thing started. But I heard that they are allowing exemptions. And so religious exemptions. And so it's been very interesting, the journey that I've been on since discovering that. All of my programming and my beliefs popping up. So just the idea of religious. So it's interesting. When I first heard that, I was like, oh man, I'm not religious. And then Zach looked up the definition of religious, and he's like, actually, this is exactly what you are. However, this there is a different connotation as to what that means, especially in the circles that I run in, that it means, dogma and this and that. Well, that's not what I identify with. Yeah, I mean, when I look at it, like my friend Charlie sent me something, I'm not going to remember it word for word, but it was along the lines of, being spiritual is about being extremely connected, and being religious is like being cut off. Externalization. Anyway, dogma. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, it has taken me, I still haven't written my letter. I sat down and I was like, okay, well, what is it? What are my beliefs? And I remember when I first was faced with the thought of, what, am I doing this or not? And so, I went deep into meditation, and what came in is no. No, you're not doing this. You will be absolutely fine, and your children will be. That your body is created to handle this, and that under no circumstances am I to have that. And so, how do you get more religious than going into prayer, meditation, and to have that drop in almost as, guidance? So anyway, that is my firmly held religious belief. I mean, as somebody like me, where I do go into trance type meditation prayer every day, at least twice a day, um, I do get a lot of messages that are very similar to that, or not. You never know what's going to come in. But yeah, I've had to face the idea, so not only this, the other thing that's been coming up, excuse me, is this whole idea of persecution. And so, yes, in past lives and there is this reoccurring theme of being persecuted for my beliefs, for being killed, for, not being seen for, what I really was, the whole witch burning thing. Lots of different instances of that. Also, lots of instances of not being persecuted. But what was interesting is that I realized that since this whole thing came down, I have been on the outskirts. I have been shunned in a lot of ways in my community. I mean, I can still luckily get out and go about, and I can get on a plane, and I can do a lot of those things. But as far as financially goes, the job that I've always been able to rely on and do until recently, I couldn't do. So yeah. And until recently, I couldn't go into restaurants in certain areas in the state I live in. Until recently, I couldn't. So it's very interesting psychologically what being excluded from my beliefs has done to me. And I see it now. It's, I'm an outlier. Or let me put it this way. At least that's what people want me to think. I think there's a lot more of us than, they're going to let us talk about. So yeah, I have, deeply held religious beliefs and practices. And here's the thing. When this drops in meditation, that is what I do above all else. Above what else is socially, being pushed. The pressure. I can withstand that pressure if it comes in like that. So it's interesting. I never saw myself as a religious person, much in the same way that I never saw myself as a writer, much in the same way I never saw myself in a lot of other ways that are beyond being an actual teacher, because that was my profession. I never saw myself as psychic. I saw myself as intuitive. It's all of these weird labels and the words and the connotations that are attached to them and how they've shifted over time. And so I had a hard time with it. And I still do. Because how that whole exemption thing is working is that you have to be careful with what you say. Yes, you need to, put your religious belief down, but you can't add anything else. And then there is a phone interview too, to go over your statement. And from what I understand, they make you restate several times your belief, but not in the same words, using different words. Basically, they're trying to vet it out to see if you actually have that belief or if it is not real. So this has been a test of my integrity. I have friends who have had theirs approved and they sent me their stuff and they're like, hey, yeah, just say this. Yeah, just say this. This is what's getting approved. I can't. I can't. I even wrote one up and I was like, I can't do it. This is one of those moments for me where my integrity is being tested. My authenticity is being tested. You know, to let go of the fear of being persecuted and to stand in my truth of what my belief is. Without defending any of it. It's been a bit of an amazing journey coming to this. And I've just had having so much come up through the strength training stuff that I've been doing. There's been that. There's been relationship stuff coming up to go. Like with my ex-husband, it doesn't even have to do with him. It has to do with me. And what I'm realizing that I accepted. And so now in my current relationship, you know, I'm having these moments of being internally triggered. And I'll have to do another video and talk about that. Because this is what has been coming up for me for days now. And yesterday was like the high point of, oh my God, I am not doing this anymore. It's amazing. So lots of growth. And it doesn't come in feeling great. It doesn't come in feeling great. And we'll see. We'll see what happens with this exemption. I want to be able to teach if I need to. There is a definite security there. And I love teenagers. And if I wanted to, I could sub at my daughter's school, and that would be amazing too. We'd be on the same schedule. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. And I just wanted to share that, the whole idea of labels. And I think I've talked about labeling before, but be careful how you label yourself. For even me, I'm like, wait, I'm not religious. Well, try looking up what that means first before you identify or not identify with something. And realize that as we grow and shift and change, that might change too. So don't hold too tightly to any label. It's all up for change. Because we are infinite. And we are co-creators. And the only thing that limits us is us and our beliefs. I love you guys. Have a great day.